Hello, everyone, dear Yippee community. Welcome again, Miro.
Hello, Gabby. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Today we continue our series of 7S positive health, a concept developed by Dr. Mirojan Ljubecki, who is also host of Positive Health Hub in our Yippee community. Today it's all about one of the 7S's. It's about sex. Sex, love, and Mira describes it in more detail now, why it is so positive and has a good effect and on our health, basically, and how we can do to keep up the pleasure and many, many other things. So once again, welcome, Miro, and I'll ask you to start a little bit talking about why sex is so important, and if it's more than sex, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I think you feel very well what my intention was. I put sex. It sounds a little bit technical and maybe only physiological, but of course the topic is much wider. I think few people will say that sex is not important, but the culture of today, after the sexual revolution that happened a few decades ago, suggests more like this so-called hookup culture, like being with many partners, changing partners all the time, having a great party with a lot of alcohol, maybe some drugs, and then ending up with bed to finish up the successful party night and kind of tick the box and then forget it and then work hard and maybe next weekend do something similar. A lot of people live this kind of cycle, and the culture somehow supports it. There is a lot of articles about sex and sexual satisfaction, mostly on the physiological level. All kind of orgasms are being described and analyzed, and how do I get this kind or another kind, especially in ladies' magazines. So sex is somehow not anymore a taboo topic, but I believe, even though it's so electrifying and everybody knows that it is important, I don't think we have the right perspective. And sometimes we reduce sex only to this physiological aspect. And it has a lot of wonderful physiological dimensions, like there is this hormonal game, and we know about oxytocin, about dopamine, about serotonin, adrenaline, other hormones that are injected in our bloodstream, and we feel great after good sex. And this is part of it, and it's absolutely wonderful and important. But a lot of people who experience on the longer term this hookup culture, like changing partners, having sex, not being fully conscious of what we are doing, because, like alcohol, drugs, stuff like this. Sometimes, or most of the times, the people are not fully happy with this kind of experiences, especially women. And actually, there are studies showing that even though feminists took the sexual revolution on as their success and now the final freedom, actually there is very few beneficiaries of the system. And actually, paradoxically, a small percentage of men who are attractive and wealthy are the beneficiaries, in the sense that they have easy access to sex with a lot of women. But then the other part of the men who are not that attractive and wealthy, they have terrible problems to find any woman nowadays, which was never the case in the history. And for the women, it's not that difficult to find a sexual partner, but usually women realize, even if they are taught other things in the women magazines, that they would rather like a long-term relationship with with respect, with intimacy, with some atmosphere of trust, mutual support. And the sex after a party, and then in the many films you have this scene when the girl is awaiting a call from the guy and it never happens, and there's this frustration. But actually, like, if there was no relationship built before, why should this call even be expected? So I think we are starting from the wrong side. So for me, this sex should be the fulfillment, that like final confirmation of a great relationship. So first find a great life partner, then develop a great relationship, and sex will be and should be part of it. And then if you can communicate your sexual needs, you can talk maybe about your sexual fantasies even, then it shows that the level of trust and understanding and even your communication skills are on a certain level that contributes to the quality of the relationship itself. And sex is an important part of it, but a part of it, and it should not be reduced to that this is the essence of the relationship, because very few people on the longer term enjoy it. Of course, on short term, there is certain pleasures that are inbound in the physiology of sex, and most people experience it. But on the long term, there is a big frustration, and only people who have good, very high quality relationships with a partner that they actually love and want to be with, and would even wish to have children with them and have a family with them. In this situation, the sex has a totally different dimension, even I would say spiritual dimension. So it's not only the physiology and the hormones, it's much, much more.
So it's spiritual. That's very interesting aspect as well for our audience probably, and I think also intellectual. For me, it's clear at the beginning there cannot be any trust. So we all human beings, we get in touch with each other, and trust develops. Trust is a process, I think, and
you might be willing to give a little bit of trust credit, as we say sometimes. It's very nice. Not everybody's ready for it. Not everybody has the capacity. I think it's like in a working environment, for instance, if we have a new employee, we give them some task and we are not sure whether they will maybe destroy everything and make all kind of errors, or maybe, I don't know, steal some materials and sell to the competition. We don't know. We look at them, but we give them certain credit of trust. And I think also in the relation when we meet another person, I think it's very healthy to assume that this is a good person and hopefully it will go in this direction, but we observe and we give only like a small credit, not like open up totally. Yeah. And in a way, I believe, when coming back to sex, like if we don't know somebody and give this person our body, especially, it works even more deeply from a women's perspective, because women is on the receptive side,
yeah.
the receiver side, then very often this frustration comes because this was too early many times. Yeah, the relationship was not that far, the trust was not there yet. Yeah, so maybe this was a mistake. Maybe if I waited a bit longer, if the relationship developed, the quality of the experience would be much better. So I think that we might go back to the old times where there was a different attitude to sex, that kind of the relationship and declaration of, like being ready to support the other person and so on. So like the arranged marriages were working, and in some cultures, like the Indian culture, is still working. Many other cultures in the world are still there. We, in our Western societies, decided we can do this ourselves much better. And then look at the divorce rates. Yeah, 70% in some countries, 50% on average, more or less, in Western societies. This shows clearly we are not that good at doing the job of finding the life partner. Not to mention the hookup culture, which is not, doesn't even have the intention to find a partner, only to have sex. So I think there is a lot of questions. I think we jumped into this freedom of sexual relationship after contraception was invented, especially the pill. And we thought, wow, that's great. No consequences. Let's do it. Like, actually, why shouldn't we have sex with another person every day? What's the problem? Why not? I mean, well, it looked maybe from intellectual perspective, yeah, okay, let's try it. But then it seems that sex is not like drinking or eating or many other things. It has this deeper meaning, of course, connected to recreation, reproduction, I mean, and that this is obviously not the only dimension of sex, but we cannot forget about it. It is a part of our survival strategy. It's somehow very deeply rooted in not only in our physiology, but also in our psychology. And it has the spiritual aspect as well, as we mentioned a bit earlier. So probably this hookup culture and this sexual freedom was like another extreme. It was definitely not perfect and not so good before. It was a lot of restrictions, like in the times of Freud in Vienna, everybody, this was a total taboo topic.
Yes.
Now it's not, but it doesn't mean that now it's all better. There are some better elements, but somehow we reduced the sex to the physiological aspects, and we made it very superficial. And I think it's not good either. So we should kind of come back and take the best parts of the previous experiences and the current experiences and make the sexual experience a mature one, which is based on a good quality relationship, is a kind of like a final confirmation for our good relationship with a great partner that we live with.
Perfect. And the result of all of it is a happy life, is a happy connection, right? And
Absolutely.
is a lots of joy, which is not just for the moment, right? But a long-lasting joy,
Yeah, it's
which
like a source of a long-term satisfaction. I think there is something like people who have satisfactory sexual life, the contribution of this aspect to the general feeling of well-being and happiness is huge. And there is a lot of studies about it now showing, like it's almost very difficult, even if the relationship, like technically from the communication point of view, works well, but there is no sex or very little sex or no or not a good quality sex, the general feeling of satisfaction with the relationship is rarely high, I would say, or usually low. So sex is important. It's very important, and but we should not isolate it from the aspect of relationship, because then it's the chance that we will have that the sex alone will be a source of a deep satisfaction and well-being and happiness is not very probable. It doesn't happen.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thanks a lot for these insights and for this deep knowledge of literature and experiences and what you read and what has proven and not proven to be okay. Wonderful tips. Thank you. Thank you, Miri, very much.
Thanks so much, Gabi.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.